With every year that passes, I become more convinced that help is the most sacred word. No one survives alone. Keep breathing. Stay close. And now, will you please rise in body or spirit and join us for this morning's opening hymn, Come, Come, Wherever You Are. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Leslie Grover, and I am a member of your worship guild. I'm so happy this morning because we have one of our beloved guests, one of our beloved, I don't know, friend of the church, how we would describe Reverend Darcy, but we are certainly glad to have her here this morning, and we are excited. Yeah. It's going to be a great day. We have just a few announcements this morning, so bear with me and y'all concentrate real hard, okay? Because it's a big list of them, and all of them are really important, and I think that they're just wonderful. First of all, the leader of the membership team, Donna Yelverton, is going to be available in room 6 for the newcomer meet and greet. So if you're a newcomer to this church, welcome, and join Donna there. Also, we will not have faith in practice today in room 5. We'll have it next Sunday. Instead, in room 5, please join the generosity team, and they're going to host a household budget workshop, and that's going to be led by Rob Johnson. So that's in room 5. In room 7, we have our Faith in Action, the social justice education sub-team meeting. So please meet them there. And on Tuesday, April the 16th, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., COPE, Communities Organizing for Power and Empathy, is going to have a workshop. And they're having a house meeting. They're hosting a series of workshops centering around well-being and mental health. The workshops are open to adults 18 years or older, interested in learning more about mental health and working together to help each other cope. So that's that help we talked about in the invocation. All right, did I get all the announcements, y'all? We had quite a few. All right, sounds good to me.
Friends, the lesson this morning is actually a new hymn of the month, which we haven't sung before, so we're going to try to learn it. And I'll sing it through the first verse through once. There are about 5 verses, and I think by the end you'll pick it up. But you'll listen to it once, and then we'll all sing that first verse together and go on. When the waters are deep, friends carry me over. When I cry in my sleep, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. When the waters are deep, friends carry me over. When I cry in my sleep, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. When the waters are cold, friends carry me over. When I'm losing my hold, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. When I cannot swim, friends carry me over. My tailed, love call me home. Time carry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. Take the gift that I bring, my friends carry me over. Deep within me I sing, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. Life offers a chance, friends carry me over. Time cannot stop its dance, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home.
This morning, we don't have a prayer, but I would like to invite you into a safe space for meditation. I would like to invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and take a moment to check in with your body. No judgment, but just however you feel in your body, let it be. Right now, we may be surrounded with a lot of uncertainty and a lot of things that are happening, but in this moment, we can find safety in sitting in stillness together as a community. So for the next few moments, I just want to invite us to sit in silence, in gratitude, and in the safety of our community here together. And now, as we're sitting in gratitude, I invite you to soften your gaze. If your eyes are closed, let your face soften. Relax your shoulders if they're clenched. Breathe out and let your belly be soft. Send the softness all the way down to your toes and into the ground. Know that we are grounded here, we are grounded in this moment together, and that our community is our grounding. And now together, I'm going to ask us to inhale and then exhale. And when you're ready, open your eyes and join us back together in this grounded, safe community. Thank you. This morning, we have one stone to drop. Jerry Gilbert's father passed away. His name was James Gilbert, and I'm going to drop a stone for him. Also, we have a card for Mona Romaine, who is recovering from a stroke, and who is now in rehab. As I drop this stone for Jerry's father, I would like to invite you among the East and West Wings to come and drop a stone of your own. That stone could be for joy, it could be for something that's not so joyful, or it could just be because we're here and you want to drop a stone. Whatever's on your heart, whatever's in your spirit, let that stone represent and bring you closer to community in this moment. And now we'll have our placing of the stones. And now, as we light our chalice, we say these words together. With hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is a symbol of the power of love.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land.
Our first reading today is from No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre. So this is hell. I'd never have believed it. You remember all we were told about the torture chambers, the fire and brimstone, the burning marl, old wives' tales. There's no need for red-hot pokers. Hell is other people. Our second reading is a lot more uplifting. From Rachel Carson's 1952 acceptance speech for the John Burroughs Medal for Environmental Justice. It seems reasonable to believe, and I do believe, that the more clearly we can focus our attention on the wonders and realities of the universe about us, the less taste we shall have for the destruction of our people. Wonder and humility are wholesome emotions, and they do not exist side by side with a lust for destruction. So to tell you a little bit about me, especially in the past few years as I worked to get my PhD, I am Proustian in my work habits. So give me a dressing gown, writing implements, prop me up on my pillows, I sit in my bed all day and I get to writing. So I used to romanticize some sort of maudlin connection with Proust, but I just think I like my bedroom window. It looks out to our not particularly lovely, but altogether beloved Holly Grove neighborhood. The glass is old and sounds seep in. A lot of times I use these sights and sounds to daydream a bit, to think. But lately, all I hear is birds, constant chatter, constant song. It's like a Disney movie. And I'll admit, at first I found it annoying. How dare these birds impinge on my thoughts and my morning wake-up routine? But then one day I noticed these crows, large and imposing. So first, of course, I was struck by their appearance, wrapped up in my love of the Gothic. But soon I focused on their cause, which at first seemed quite unlovely. But the more I listened, the more varied and textured they became. Then I began to listen to other birds, from blue jays to the neighborhood peacock, Archie. Without even meaning to, I had stumbled into something called birding by ear. Listen, and this is going to preach another day. I firmly believe now in doing things that you're not good at and will probably never be good at. What a gift. What fun. What a mess. So part art and part science, birding by ear is about listening and distinguishing bird songs and bird calls. And some people, perhaps in this congregation right here, are very serious and very good at birding by ear. I am not one of those people. But I am now someone who closes her curtains and simply listens to bird song. Someone who, when she's in a new area, like right outside your church, eavesdrops in on bird conversations. Someone who has learned to mark spiritual moments through the call of a northern cardinal. And so much of it has become about attention. What I and what you pay attention to, and more importantly even, how we pay attention. So Jean-Paul Sartre, he of No Exit, he really thought a great deal about how humans pay attention. So in his play No Exit, the characters of Garcin, Inez, and Estelle are trapped in a loop where each person wants something from the other person that other person can't give them. They don't see, or more importantly, they don't listen to the other people because they are too wrapped up in their own need, their envy, their greed, and just general misunderstanding. And I think anybody who maybe has been to a multi-hour congregational meeting or stayed on social media too long might be able to relate to that. Well, I'm kidding, kind of, the ways in which we human beings often refuse to understand or empathize with each other, from the large-scale tragedy of war to the mundanity of yelling at someone who takes too long in line, comes sometimes from each of our inability to see beyond ourselves, to pay attention to anything beyond my needs, my feelings, my opinion. It also stems from our constant attempts to separate ourselves not only from each other by objectification, competition, misunderstandings we might be too proud to fix, but from the natural world in which we're a part. So, writer and avid birder Rachel Carson sounded downright Sartrean when she wrote of her phenomenal 1962 work, Silent Spring. This is a book about man's war against nature. And because man is a part of nature, it is also inevitably a book about man's war against himself. And these kinds of wars are raging. From the continued desecration of our Gulf Coast for oil to conflicts in Gaza and Haiti and beyond, yet the birds still sing their song. And we can still listen. When I first heard the birds, they were an annoyance to me, objects that interrupted my day. But now, as I mentioned, didn't even mean to say this, I eavesdrop on their conversations, never fully understanding them, but starting to recognize lilts and changes. Here I am sharing the sacred space of my yard, me, an odd novelty in a weird dressing gown perched in my bed, and them in their yard domain perched next to my garden gnome. It's a little thing. It is the smallest relationship, but sometimes the little things aren't so little. As Carson said, the more clearly we can focus our attention on the wonders and realities of the universe about us, the less taste we shall have for the destruction of our people. And sometimes, too, human animals can fill us with wonder. The essayist, poet, and cultural commentator Maria Popova was so moved by a piece of paper that she found, a scrap that she found in Rachel Carson's archives that had her scribbled notations of bird songs and calls, that Popova made it the cover of one of her books. Popova's friend Don Landis then took these notations, these rough, just basically slices, and set them to music, translating and reinterpreting bird song across species, across generations, across artistic forms. These women, like the birds, are wonders and realities in the universe. So let us take a moment to listen to this bird song, interpreted by glorious human animals.
right, and I like that. It kind of relaxes me. And now we will have our offering, and this month's offering is shared with the Louisiana Environmental Action Network. And for over 30 years, the Louisiana Action Network has fought to safeguard not just Louisiana's scenic beauty, wildlife, and culture, but more importantly, those underserved citizens that don't have a voice. Your offering today, we're going to share half with them, all during the month of April. And y'all know well about the environmental racism and the way that we can experience that here in Louisiana. Visitors, we're practicing our giving, so you are under no obligation to give. It would be great if you did. But today's offering will now be generously given and gratefully received. Hell is other people is only one side of the coin. The other side, which no one seems to mention, is also heaven is each other. Hell is separateness, uncommunicability, self-centeredness, lust for power, for riches, for fame. Heaven, on the other hand, is very simple and very hard, caring about your fellow beings.
That was Jean-Paul Sartre a few years later in a 1971 interview. So the only other period I remember birdsong was also a state of panic. Sorry, it's a theme here. Me at 5 a.m., my diamonds are formed under pressure, college days, all-nighter fingers furiously clacking, some urgent paper deadline or another. Light is shifting to a pale gray morning blue. No time, and those tiny birds outside of my window need to shut up. At that point, the natural world outside was an inconvenience, a harbinger of just how little time I had to complete, I don't know, my brutalist themes in Russian science fiction paper. But I always finished, and I never listened to the birds. And the panic I feel these days, I don't know about all of you, particularly in our state of Louisiana, and my identities as a woman, as a parent, as a citizen is greater than any late-night paper binge. Because our governor and legislature is attempting to tear at the very fabric of a shared Louisiana humanity. Regressive policies that expand methods for state executions, ban books, take away health care from so many people, gut union organizing, dismantle public schools. The urgency is real, and I'm here listening to the birds. But there's a reason. So a lot of people love bird songs, and I get it. They're flashy, complex, with a clear pattern. Birds like it too. You know, songs attract mates, and they're usually sung by amorous, gentle birds in the throes of spring. But bird calls, shorter, simpler, heard in all seasons, done by all genders, tell us far more about birds, and perhaps ourselves, than any showy song could. For example, did you know that birds can tailor alarm calls to any number of threats? So songbirds have one call when a predator is flying some distance away, loud enough for other songbirds to hear, but not loud enough for the predator to hear. Then there's the all hands on deck. There's that bird right there, perched, full-throated call when that predator is dangerously close. And humans too. We graduate our alarm calls. Those that know us best can always hear it. Even after all these years, my mother knows from the pitch in my voice to the constriction in my throat, my alarm call across time zones, and what level predator is at bay. Is it my perfectionist anxiety rearing up, or is it a deeper welling sadness, the loss of a friend, the deferral of a dream? It matters for us and the birds who we call to and why. And songbirds are heard by songbirds, and of course, my family and friends, yours as well, can best understand your call. And not everyone will hear, because sometimes our song might not be clear enough, but mainly because it's so difficult to discern another person's call, to really understand their reality. But Sartre, our hidden atheist idealist, teaches us that actually to be heard, one must first really listen, without anger, judgment, or envy. That is the heaven that Sartre the atheist spoke of in an interview years after No Exit and its famous "Hell is other people" line. While hell is the disaffection of human relationships, heaven is the building of authentic relationships, the decentering of oneself to make room for another fully formed human being, one that you will never fully understand, but you may well love, or even just like, for that difference. To be in relationship, one must listen, connect. But birds already knew that. When going further afield foraging for food, birds make contact calls, chirps and cheeps that let their community know that they're okay. If we listen, this church community, our neighborhoods, anywhere is full of these contact calls from human beings. So in the hum of my neighborhood, dog walking conversations hit my ear in the late afternoon. Across the street neighbors provide 5 minutes of bass-heavy car stereo at 11 p.m. exactly to herald their arrival. My family provides the morning contact calls, squawking and chirping in a ruffled feather attempt to get out of the house. Sometimes arguments punctuate the evening air, or construction work rumbles by. Not all contact calls are joyous, but they are familiar and connective. So I'd like you to close your eyes for a moment. I know we're asking that a lot today, but it's important. It's a meditation. And just think briefly of the sounds that punctuate this space each Sunday. Everything from the sound of a wriggling child, the lilt of a beautiful melody, the ringing of a ritual bell. So these are contact calls. They say, we are here, we are present, we are in this religious community. And listen, in times of panic, those contact calls, the one that keep birds together, that can help us humans too. So for example, as we gear up for an active 2024 hurricane season, I know just saying it makes me want to take flight. I'm reminded of the contact calls so many of us have made in Louisiana communities in times of peril. So when my family fled Hurricane Ida, our neighbors, some of whom may have been the source of some overheard late-night arguments, were our contact calls. They chose to stay in New Orleans, sat on their porch, watched, waited, listened. They texted us when the storm had passed, when the power came back on, when folks were poking at our house, they were friends checking in, and finally, when it might be best for us, my family, these birds, to return home. And we're in a different state of political emergency right now. But it is these contact calls, these relationships, that provide the foundation for us to build the alliances, to be ready for even more panic calls in this spring legislative session and beyond. Because birds know that we humans are still learning. It takes time to learn another's call, and others need time to understand your calls. The subtle gradations and differences, the shifts in tone and length can only be heard if you're present, if you practice, if you're not automatically frightened or annoyed by another bird's call, if you care enough to be in community, especially when it's hard. And once you hear the difference in call and answer in your own call, you're beginning to find the calls that bind you. First, the difference, then what brings you together. Issues, theologies, neighborhoods, love of art and culture, something beyond just what the eye takes in, what your preconceived notions see but may never hear. So this afternoon, I'm going to be joining a wonderful group here at your Baton Rouge church and watching a short film on abortion restrictions in southern states and the Jewish communities that are pushing back. Come watch it with us, have a conversation. Because the folks here leading this group, I think they're participating in a kind of birding by ear theology in small but significant ways. So, for example, they're learning deeply about the reproductive justice movement, created and led by women of color for the right to have children, not have children, and raise the children you do have in safe and healthy environments, as something distinct from many of their experiences as majority white women. And they're recognizing the ways that reproductive justice can open up conversations and alliances if we allow ourselves not only to see each other, but also to hear each other. Building authentic relationships of mutual trust and support with advocacy groups that span racial backgrounds, gender diversity, geographic and class boundaries broken. They're bringing their call, you're bringing your call of religious people committed to justice, equity, and compassion to these spaces, adding their calls to others. Not a symphony, nor a cacophony, but what I like to call a flock fleet, which is the collective noun for all bird species. It's that kind of, I want to say, flock fleet energy that we as Unitarian Universalists can hone as religious people working for progressive change. It's what we can bring to hard meetings and dinner tables, in trips to the store or the legislature. It's the way that we call and listen for others' call, sometimes losing each other, sometimes losing ourselves, coming back again. We're going to fail at this call again and again. Just this week, I had quite the diatribe for the man who cut me in the line at Costco. But in so doing, the failing, the coming back again, trying a new call, that is part of our sacred work. And listen, here's the truth too. Sometimes, if you listen to another bird call, you may really not like what you hear. Take that in too. Not all birds, not all people want to call to you, work with you, build relationships with anyone that doesn't serve their own territory, their own predation. But most bird calls, most people, are far more complicated than that. So, surprise, surprise, I'm going to say it up here. Don't even like saying it at this pulpit, but I'm not interested in listening to Donald Trump's bird call. That's my point. He's been in far too many people's ears, chirping and jeering. But that guy at Costco? I don't know. My "Sir, you are a rude human being" speech was one of my more pedantic moments. I'd hear his bird call again, like I hope he'd hear mine. And you, in moments big or small, where might you try again? Where might you try another call?
Right where you're seated, let's do our next hymn, "There Is a Love."
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Did you know that songbirds have regional dialects? That the white-crowned sparrow in Olympia National Park has a slightly different song than the white-crowned sparrow just 60 miles away off the Washington coast? That in the Bay Area alone, white-crowned sparrows have 10 different dialects? So these dialects generally occur in non-migratory, year-round bird residents. Male songbirds learn from their parents, but over time they start to improvise, bring variation to songs that are picked up by other birds, and then soon you've got a new bird dialect. Yeah. Like humans, as ornithologist Daniel Kruzman notes, birds have culture, learned traditions passed down from one generation to the next. I feel like after almost 12 years, 2 kids, a house, a church ministry, and now a PhD program, and many a Mardi Gras, I'm finally weaving in a New Orleans, Louisiana dialect. It's not simply the babies or making groceries line of talking. It's the way I linger in conversations. That 60 degrees feels like it's freezing. It's in the boils and the costumes and the frustration and anger too. Because there is so much that is beautiful in this state, and there is so much happening now to try to take its beauty away. Not just in nature, but in spirit. Terrifying citizens with open carry gun laws, isolating our LGBTQ friends and family, giving my sons and husband more control of their bodies than I have of my own. Sometimes, I'll admit, I want to fly away. Just as I'm starting to hear and understand more and more calls. But it's the calls that bring me back. Specific, Southern, spectacular, and so complicated. Bird dialects are complicated too. So in this crowdsourcing site, birders have uploaded 359,000 recordings of almost 10,000 species. So complex, so layered, so confusing, even bird experts are flummoxed. But this complexity is what ornithologist Kreutzmann loves. And perhaps we humans, again, have a thing or two to learn. As Kreutzmann notes of birding songs, for humans who want things in black and white, it just doesn't work that way. So yes, one small example. In November's election, only 23% of Louisiana voted. We see where that got us. And this March, a group of dedicated Louisiana progressives, Blue Reboot, helped elect representatives that can transform their party and shape an equitable vision for all Louisiana, made up of all Louisiana citizens. So we're full of contradictions here in this state. But we can do the work. We are doing the work of making things clearer, kinder, more loving, but only if we stay, if we don't fly away. Unitarian Universalist, our faith, I think it helps us center here in this place and this work, because we too, like bird songs in Louisiana, are enigmas. Progressive religious folks, Southern Unitarian Universalists, I don't know about you, but try sometimes explaining our faith to somebody on an airplane. But it makes sense, does it not? That's why we're here. That's why we're in this community. Because it's our complicated identity, religiously, politically, interpersonally, that actually helps us hear more calls, do more work, live more fully. And the calls we muster and the ones we listen for in return, they won't all be answered. But if enough of us bring our fleet flock energy, listens to bird calls, build community, we may well one day make that metaphorical heaven of Sartre rather than hell right here in Louisiana. Amen.
Can we get a thank you for Reverend Darcy? All right. And now our closing hymn, Sanctuary.
Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy, love right through, with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew. We will not rest till the world is won. We will not rest till our work is done, till the world is safe and free from fear. We will not rest till peace is here. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy, loved right through, with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew.
Our benediction today is by Walt Whitman, Sometimes the One I Love. Sometimes with one I love, I fill myself with rage for fear I effuse unreturned love. But now I think there is no unreturned love. The pay is certain in one way or another.
I loved a certain person ardently, and my love was not returned. Yet out of that, I have written these songs. So I hope today, let us go forth and help build a world where no love is wasted, no people disregarded, no birdsong unheard. Amen, and peace be with you.